i nosaltres iniciarem ja tot seguit, sense parar ni un momentet, les sessions de treball. La primera d'aquestes sessions, sota el títol Introducció i visió estratègica dels nous paradigmes del turisme de muntanya, quin canvi s'ha produït, estarà moderada pel senyor Márcio Favilla, que és el director executiu de l'Organització Mundial del Turisme, i l'acompanyaran com a ponents el senyor Peter Keller i el senyor Paul Arsenault.
No, you're there. You're there already. Good morning, you all. Thank you very much for being here with us this morning. It's a great pleasure to be here in Andorra, in this beautiful country of Andorra again, and to start the discussions of our 8th World Congress of Snow and Mountain Tourism with two highly respected and world-known professionals, Professor Peter Keller and Professor Paul Arsenault. We know that tourism has become a major economic and social global phenomenon with more than 1 billion international tourism trips taking place in one single year, as the Secretary General of UNWTO mentioned, besides the 5 to 6 billion more domestic trips. UNWTO's long-term research indicates that by 2020, international arrivals will reach 1.4 billion from the 1.1 plus billion that we expect for this year, and 1.8 billion in 2030. But already, within the next few years, before 2020, international arrivals in developing countries will surpass those in advanced economies. So with all those, with all those changes, nevertheless, despite all that growth, tourism demand is flattening during the winter season as a worldwide scale, on a worldwide scale. It's even declining in some important mountain countries during the summer season, what cannot be considered at all as good news. Tourism is for many of the most remote and poor mountain regions one of the very few alternatives for creating significantly value-added employment and income. So the transition of mountain tourism from a booming to a mature market is not only for major alpine countries in Europe a problem. It has also an impact on mountain tourism in the emerging and developing countries, which is still at its beginning. Those countries are taking over the market-driven alpine development model from the mature mountain tourism countries. And for taking off, they also need visitors from the developed countries acquainted with mountain leisure sports culture. The question of our 8th World Congress on Snow and Mountain Tourism is if mountain tourism is moving from a mass to a niche tourism, or, in other words, from a tourism for all to a tourism for mountainlikers and lovers, a sort of community specialized in the many sports and leisure activities that only mountains can offer. This introductory session of the Congress will try to give a first answer to this question from a global perspective. For our introduction into the subject, the economic dimension of mountain tourism, its key factors of success, the alpine booms, and the structural changes are analyzed. The focus will then be turned to the new summer trends in mountain tourism, and ways to return to growth will be presented. But is there still growth potential for mountain tourism in the summer? How can it be realized? So for his introduction and keynote presentation, on new market trends and structural change in summer mountain tourism, we will hear Professor Peter Keller. Since 1998, Professor Keller has been the scientific responsible for our Congress. He is Professor Emeritus at the Faculty of Business and Economics of the University of Lausanne, where he has headed the Institute of Tourism for 2 decades, and is also a visiting professor at the universities of Lugano, St. Gallen, and Bergamo. He's the president of the International Association of Scientific Experts of Tourism, and he was in charge of tourism promotion and policy at the Swiss federal government for over 30 years, and chaired UNWTO's Regional Commission for Europe and OECD's Tourism Committee, and now is an advisor to both organizations. So with all this beautiful history in life and in tourism and engagement with our Congress, please, Professor Keller.